I can see the sun.
Footgrace suburbs society. On the other day, and the shop getting out of the from the what do they on the ditch? Kedaya to Delia Tango. Jacob to make a luta. The chair, and Delia, they would have this chair, jury. And the jail at the nation on the pa, Jamigi, Shunzab, Shunzabla, Chinchan, anybody.
Papa, what happened here?
What
happened here?
It's you a minute. Oh, that's a little chance. DJ learning on the
Mario.
The missions of DJ learning on the park, the Melbourne, Penzo del Chinja, and Pagay. That's what that ring of the Melbourne is such a costume that those chickens. Those is to deny. I don't know, I don't get you, but no,
the Yati Spiritual Victoria Nalia, Jeddah the Shogui, the Woody Ulu Shui, and Yabu Tumalia, who gave to the down, and I was later.
Today we gather to honor the courage and resilience of Tibetan people who stood up against oppression on March 10, 1951, and to reaffirm our solidarity with those still striving for freedom and justice in Tibet. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, the Wurundjeri, Walburu, and Bunurong peoples of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to their elders past and present, and extend our respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait peoples here today. To commence our program, please stand as we sing the national anthems of Tibet and Australia.
share anang bal ye thamalo le an tele pepala ane distillation share ta aninge sumji thejeng ki ta ngarang ge ning tamse ke shumo wa cha ta khe chi shi de ka sha tamse ta an chi du tamse ni de ma do ja shi na an di ni na ring da ju du yang zo de zong bo ka mo go to ne an da ga rang ge ke wa xue yin sa wo de xue yin我们要给了数据的这定出去这个结果，干啥的当些，我们出去那种空的提领可以介绍他是确实可以做，很久干嘛的做久了，随便他写的我给的人工世界切我别个熊我等干嘛的谈论我陪你，其他同学介绍学我谈，陪你经历的熊干的跑动的，对接是应该陪你去业长真正的看呢。陪你接了不就能拿穷了，因为没拿当你那持续的都搞不了。当年结果终于被推荐这部地区呢，有所学外包们那么了，接着我们谈，这兄弟在那就让人家的兄弟西路本他们了，东西人家学习乐。
Traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people, and I want to pay my respects to them, their elders, and to join with you in acknowledging that this land that we were on was stolen land. It was taken from the Wurundjeri people and they never gave consent, so it always was and it always will be Aboriginal land. And I know that's something that resonates with you all. It was wonderful to be there, to be hoisting the flag here today. I found it very moving. And for the Tibetan National Anthem to be playing at the same time, and to think there is strength and solidarity and pride in Tibet here in my hometown of Footscray. And I want to thank you all for coming, because it's really important that that pride and solidarity and the flying of the flag happens here and around the world, because it can't happen in Tibet. If Tibetan people tried to do what we did today, they would be, who knows what would happen to them. You could only imagine. They would be persecuted, they would be attacked, they would be jailed, they would probably be tortured just for the sake of flying this wonderful flag that says, you are Tibetans and Tibet is Tibet. It is a sovereign land. But sovereignty was never ceded from Tibet from when the Chinese invaded 66 years ago. And of course we are here today to commemorate the 10th of March uprising and the time 66 years ago when the Chinese government brought their iron fist to rule over Tibet. And the time when His Holiness the Dalai Lama realised that for his safety he needed to leave, and so he fled with thousands of others to Dharamsala. And I had the great privilege of having an audience with His Holiness in 2023 when I was a Member of Parliament as part of the parliamentary delegation that visited Dharamsala, and we talked with him for an hour, which was an amazing privilege, and just learning from him and hearing his wisdom. And the thing that sticks with me most from His Holiness is his resilience and his humour, and the fact that he is so positive about the future despite what Tibet is going through and despite what Tibetans are going through. He is such a role model, and my favourite quote of his is never, never give up. And that's what we all need to do. As we are thinking now, 66 years on, and it seems so hopeless, and you look at the state of the world at the moment, and it's so easy to get up in the morning and to think, no, I just can't do anything, I'm just going to, focus on what I'm going to have for breakfast and, watching the television. But we know that we have to do more than that, because people's lives, people's well-being, people's sovereignty are at stake in Tibet and in other parts of the world. But for you here today, Tibet is so foremost in the activism that you're doing, and I salute you for that. When I left the Parliament, I decided I wanted to continue to do work for Tibet, and so I offered to join the board of the Australia Tibet Council. which I then joined the board, and then earlier this year, I think it was, yes, or the end of last year, I then became co-chair with the wonderful Tenzin Lobsang Kangsa over here. And so I think this makes it so appropriate that us here in Maribyrnong and in Footscray are raising the Tibetan flag, because the two co-chairs of the Australia-Tibet Council live here in Footscray. So I think this is the centre of activism, of resilience, of resistance, and of support for the Tibetan people and Tibet. And so I really look forward to working with you. Thank you for coming. I particularly want to thank the children who are here today for coming. I know some of the speeches are pretty long and it might be a bit boring, but you are here as Tibetans, and to recognise your Tibetan identity and how special that is. And I just really encourage you and thank you for coming and support you in being proud to be Tibetan. So thank you everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you, and I commit we will keep working with you. I'm still a very active member of the Greens. Hung Trung is standing as our candidate here in this electorate at the federal election. She is an avid Tibet supporter. A lot of the Tibet community have been to her events over the past months. And so I know for Greens in the Parliament, we've got 3 Greens councillors as well, will continue to support you. And we are very proud that here in Maribyrnong, this is the first municipality in Victoria where the Tibetan flag has been raised. So we'll be working to have more Tibetan flags raised in more municipalities around the state and around the country, so that we never forget. We never forget the injustice that's being done to Tibetans, and we will never, never give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you so much to your sacrifice. Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Thank you. And next we have Executive Member who will read that parliamentary speech, Tibetan parliamentary speech.
Tilingi Nimona Chiluchitung Jangachanga Gutasan Bici Chuni, Pejja Salasa Chusin, Perminamji, Marti Samba Chutinto, Jana Shungi, Samju Tapashi, Galanchite, Malusha Wutuchi Redu Kovishin, the Jekawa, Tichita, Potens and Merikitun, the Lesolonjeta Chiwa, Alitunki, Jajipo, Pomichitin, Nimushitan Chayo, Tian Chiluchitung Jangachanga, Janama Machitin Jacob Subada, Rembi, Pena Zenziki, Potoshita, and Lishanato Zamshi, Tar Chiluchitung Jangachanga. Zhenjiang o Tibetan Sebe Mantaku Gichungshin, Tini Jamershung, Yang, Mertina, Metina, Yanisha Jambatushika, Jajun Chone, Tintin and Sekitun, Sime Dorotumatan, Pemichon and Mogukin and Banyanation was a Chichishinja, Tal Consachoko Kucha, Wachesuji, Zatan, Itachuma Soki, Chilojido Yamachina, Godasan Biti Junior, Pemira, Gilanti, Nimundi Chumatan, Tini Yin Dinji, Consachoko Way.
That we are on the lands of the Kulin Nation and that sovereignty was never ceded. Janet's mentioned it already, so I just wanted to add that in Victoria, for those if you don't know, we are pushing towards treaty with the Aboriginal people, so it's really important that you also get behind that cause and support that movement, so that here in Australia, the traditional custodians of the land can have their freedom and their dignity back as well. So I think that's really important to mention. I want to tell the story of how we got to have this event here today. So I was a councillor up until October of last year here at Maribyrnong City Council, and a couple of years ago Tenzin came to me and said, via Janet, said, Simon, we want to do a flag raising on the flag here in Footscray. And I said, Tenzin, that's a great idea. Let's make that happen. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. The Vietnamese community do a similar thing here. They raise the Ko Vang flag to champion their cause for for the Vietnamese people, or people of South Vietnamese, if you like, to have their freedom and their independence back from the Vietnamese Communist Party. So very similar cause to what you guys have here, although unfortunately at Maribyrnong Council we had the West Papuan community come to us not much earlier, wanting to raise the Morning Star flag, and unfortunately Council voted against that one. So that's why I was a little bit concerned. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get the numbers to make it happen, but Tenzin was very passionate about him, and I really admire his passion. He really drove this one. He lobbied the councillors. We did have a vote on it in the first instance. Hold on just 1 second. I'm going to finish the story first. We did have a vote on it, and the vote was lost. Council rejected the motion to have this day, have the flag raising, and Tenzin was there. I'm not sure if you had one or two others with you, but he stood up and he spoke very passionately, particularly to the Vietnamese councillors on council, and said why this day is so important to him and to this community, and why it's important to us as a peoples to rally together and support each other. And I think that was really powerful. We continue to lobby the councillors, and one of the Vietnamese councillors mentioned that he would support the motion if we just altered the wording a little bit. So we brought it back and we got it through. And that was because of Tenzin and the great people that came along to support him on that day. So congratulations for making this day happen. And I want to just, I guess, mention, I know the other people in the room that day probably thought that they didn't play a big role, but it's really important you guys get along and support each other. I know you're doing that today. It's fantastic to see so many of you here, especially the young ones. You know, you are our future, so you're going to make this happen and continue this fight for freedom. But yeah, it's really important. We know that we have injustice happening around the world right now as we speak. People are being removed from their lands, they're losing their freedom, they're losing their dignity, and it's really important we all work together, we support each other where we can, and we persist, we never give up, and we fight the fight. I genuinely believe, we've seen history has said over and over again, whether it's India, South Africa, Eastern Europe, they all had lost their freedom, and they all regained it through peaceful protest, persistence, support, and working together. So great to see you all out here today. Please keep up the great work that you're doing, and I wish you really well and happy to support you where I can. Thank you.
Also Tibet, we would like to say thank you so much for your support and dedication. Thank you. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you so much.
Maribyrnong 먼저 농수 dom사기 대대기 서비지가 먼저 브레이크다디 조조치게 되 아주 보아 충분히 지고야 돼. 이것을 차샤선거도 대대기 중심대가 되게 인진을 호랑이 주요소 되게 인진을 연결시 뭐잖니 되게 너무 좀 긴가지도 독도지 주의 대가 먼저 변제 나무와 배기 또 배대 나무지 이제 fuskre pension ang DCSR digital the migyingodi onzo sanni onzo Maribyrnong sanni라 백에다 딩주 치트웨기 딩이 미gyingodi 심제 당저 브리초발 konzo gy에서 고두체 onzo 딩 미gy이 되듯이 넘버 저 잡게가 넘버 konzo gy에모니 디플로마시 야고도 먼저 지지 되듯이 제투나 페마시 야고도 수단 딩 konzo 잡게나 지금 나다 구상하는 얘기 다 이해 당을 당고 sanni기 아니 이제 그 당진에 아니 거기 당부는 원인체에 나와 같이 있으라 니니 원인체도 뭐시라 니 저랑 된다 되면도 아니 먼저 총도 저쪽 공격이 총도로 총도는 거라 저쪽 때문에 저쪽 때문에 제지네 총미기 모든 것도 된대기 이 제지 먼저 당부기 내가 차 따드니 구상하는 얘기가 이게 당진이 또 산에기 투미 상말 이게 당진에 언제 지마다 총도들 패쇼 슈르 총도들 패쇼 슈도 아니 디마요더니 아니 스타니 투미디게라 카바탄 제 kuji 답되지로지 아니 미기 된데 배낭 된데 간이 된데 여러서 도스 제버 이 아니 그 듣고 먼저 바가 하시지라다 이게 당진 아니 이 총도 소로 이렇게 슈르 이게 이 공간 총도 저에 갑라 아니 바치 엘레 마소가 맞고 해서 이 공간 총도들 아니 이 총도들 아니 또 먼저 문화적인 조절과 문화적 접근마저도 강의 연기 진행으로 제가 문제기 딱 누구지 아니 그저 조절 조절선의 통해 수행이 아니면 지휘 지시는 먼저 조절이 디지털 모델 이제 이 문제 제가 선출 마사지 경험치 그뒤에 개체쇼디 내려기가 선출권의 차이에 말해서 그뒤에 풍도가 먼저 배나 비밀소이기 그때 내깔의 경고를 소소달로 당고를 디스는 그뒤에 장진이 어디다 문제거나 문제가 치도가 지금 양양 코로나 싸는 코로나 저것이 그래서 이 사문은 먼저 지금이 정해 들어왔어요. 정해 들어왔기 아니 사문 저것은 먼저기 아니 사문님도 봐주기 단계도 주주 기능이 됐다 사문 프로필 코로나 주주가 하려니 이게 땡기보다 아니 먼저 사는 이 커뮤니티가 나 저것이 그다음에 뭐 그미스키 통해서 그런 분위기가 아니 코페 차고 시라르자 딱 그게 비치가는 코리 기능적으로 거기 같이 얘기 계셨는데 막고 시절에 많이 파죽게자 또 출직생도 파죽 조정정 시간 되게자 뭐신 하나도 니 쉬어 이거 쉬어야지 한테마다 거기 야야 생이다 저거를 수단이 그 기지도 똑같이 지사를 상조 근데 생이들도 먼저 배가 그만 버리지 또 다와 얘기 질러 총기니가 저러니까 아니 더 얘기 제가 총고 저러니까 아니 먼저 배가 다시 스포르지 쉬고 그런 배가 20%도 또 믹스의 기능적 파마 빈치들이 있는 수준으로 아주 지역의 본인이 제치는 것이 근데 디지털 상기 본인이 제치는 것이 아니 답변하는 게 나서 어떤 문제가 가셔지고 스페이스 공간이 문화적인 조절과 문화적인 접근주도 아니 강의 경주에 있는 것도 아니 기능로가 딱 분석이 대기 아니 지금 개척본을 받아 그러나 저 아니 경험치 지능료가 같은 얘기 감면 송진에 아니 공간에 딱 상황이 아니 무슨 제진에 먼저 조절이 되게 진도가 좋니 이 조절이 아니 개척본 거래서 좋아하는 수주들이 인간 말에 먼저 표 정생 맞아봐도 아니 배기 정말 수 맞아봐도 아니 딱 수주들이 거기가 되는 배기다 진술 진술하고 이 먼저 제가 초보지에서 그러면 이 내가 충분히 원하는 데 무조건 보기 찍고 말해 왜 나가다 아무지 배기다 찍고 있나 그렇지 이제 걸어나오래 요즘 내가 뭔지 신경와 제가 니도 니 원하는 최소한 인간 대비기 땡기기 있는 주차에도 원하는 문제거나 무조건 이게 바깥쪽이 선수 이 근데 디시 지난 게 먼저 보이는 걸라이나 디시 미크시지도가 다시 거기에 배딩에다 이제 굉장히 힘든데 이는 왕사지 수수기 지금 굉장히 수수기 이제 이제 저거 넘치다 이제 굉장히 이제 배에다 근데 초로시가 아이나 상상되시 이분지 또는 좀 넘치지 배 실제 순수 같은데 저를 진짜 토당 등에 나가진 대표들도 근데 스탠슈도 내가도 아니 나서 저렇지 근데 수술 나왔다 하지는 아주 원하셔이 원하죠 배나 도와줘라 뭐서 보이기 근데 내가 잘 봐지는 되는 거는 그냥 도가 뭔가 쉬우셔 미세 같은데 중지신 거 중요하잖아 내가 계산은 저니까 봐봐 먼저 배가 뭐 신기 뭐 미세니 지금 보이니 술래듯이 이거 좀 슬래시 코로나 좀 코로나기 딱 드링한 기부 시라도 쓰고 나한테 배가 근데 무슨 통치는 성능 또는 딱 되게 기분 맞은 수단도 그때 이거 조금 내지는 되게 기분 맞은 딱 그런 배는 거가 즉 생수 쉬고 먼저 신경 거가 고도 주고 뭐지 배기 보다라기 그런 거 되게 기다리 먼저 아빠 뒤에기 근데 이미 생기요 먼저 고기 치기인데 얘는 딱 고기 당상 믿었어요 배는 고기 당상 믿어 제가 이미 계속 근데 시험 문제를 먼저 있었는 거다 같이 최고의 대대샤 보여달라 신경 미슈 미사제 장이 혼주기 즉 동화와라 단대부터 미시페이기 즉 없어 대대가게 근데 선수 대대 도와서면 소화식 좀 시라도 제가 뒤에도 난 오늘 이 공간에 소화식 좀 쉬우지도 소화기 되는 것이 없는 제가 뒤에도 내가도 딱 먼저 단대 신경소 그 문화페이기 먼저 보이기 단대 대신에 신경소 강 지금 보여자는 식으로 그들이나 들어나 이게 쑥자보나 아니 이게 우리 개가 소이게 남들이 이게 신분 소이게 제 개기 저나 우리 배이 때데 그런데 개지 축제도 차도를 배이 때데 라수 전통을 선비도 제가 이 고각 나와 우리 고각 때데 라그래 제가 이거 아니 고각 때내야지 뭐하지 이게 제가 문제는 완전 지금 양진이 좋아했나? 아니 고갑도 쇼들이 그래서 완전 처음에 홍보를 치웠나? 근데 그 보이게다 쭉 돌아나시기 뭔가 근데 뭐지 보이 퍼들라기 그러나 보이게다 쭉 돌아다 겨우는 좀 보여 되게 쉬고 완전 아니 지금 배경량 좀 보이기 때문에 뭐지 근데 시작을 해서 이 말에 20초를 내가 거기나 되게 인물에서 내가 지금 도대체 아니 그거 틱틱 인지는 거가 본인가 그치는 좋아서 I would like to say thank you so much for Jenny Rice, who has been so passionate and always supporting Tibet cause. And today na kung beginning na gitinong wala. But communication siya 좀 beginning na beginning na di also Australian ng wala. Kaya Jenny 초반 계시니까 저게 팀이 이제 주변이 초반 계시고 이 쪽으로 다 Jenny Rice와 뭐 이렇게 되네. 안디가 나다 이제 이제 Second, I would like to say thank you so much for the Simon Crawford, who's brought that motion to host the Tibetan Day today. So your dedication and love for the Tibetan community really means a lot for us. Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you for listening.
그래서 우리 중에 안전당이야 부르던적에 빌라 카운슬이야 이기단한테 제래 아니 고상하려 퍼스널 플랜이 넘어서 네 이제 주도 제거받돌이야 더 드링기 벤주들이야 제림디 아니 드링 게임조 킹이데 문족이 아니 숑게 당랑족 바 우투 웨데게 아니 비글이야 차디 슈체샤게 안 상말로 필요 지슈야이 안데 디 제리야 아니데 세자다 셰도 암라 공주 차디난샤 안디 추로 지슈야이 디마제 굴리야 아니 타마들이야 안 드링게 다 루균나리야 안 보기 게다디 아니 오스트레일리아 카운슬지가야 아니 덤베 추도들이야 아니 먼저게 천세바 가주치디 아니 울라게 샤게스탄게 이송도 토전하는 것도 토전한 데는 소전한 주도이고 상호 대표자 소전한 주도 주시